Correct me if I'm wrong, but is it mind games? Does Scott Quigg really think that he's A-side over Carl Frampton? I mean, after all, it is called Frampton versus Quigg, right? I'm T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live. 121.7 for Carl Frampton, IBF champion. 121.6 for Scott Quigg, WBA world champion. The big question about this fight is, will it live up to the hype? I'm interested to see what the pay-per-view buyers are going to do. I know it's going to be a hit as far as it's sold out and all kind of things like that. But I'm really interested to see, like, if the build-up is enough. Now, over here in the United States, nobody really cares about the fight. Nobody's really been talking about it. It's not mentioned on our mainstream sports networks, but over there in the UK, I'm seeing they're, going all out. They even had tickets sold for the weigh-in. It was about 6,000 or so people at the weigh-in. And right now, I'm wondering, okay, all right, where does the winner go from here? Now, I got Scott Quigg I got Carl Frampton winning, but Scott Quigg does have the ability to be able to maybe knock down or maybe knock out a Carl Frampton. And also, we don't know how comfortable Carl Frampton is still at 122 pounds. Remember, after his last fight, I got the interview right here on this channel. After he won against Alejandro Gonzalez, he was talking about, moving up to 126 pounds because he wasn't feeling comfortable at 122 pounds anymore. And he was contributing that to his performance against Gonzalez. So I've been hearing that he's been crashing down to get under 122 pounds for the weigh-in, basically dropping a large amount of weight in a short period of time. And I'm just wondering how will that affect him in this fight. And also, we got to wonder what Scott Quigg is going to show up. Scott Quigg has got to show up, and he's got to be relentless with the pressure. I'm talking about, I think Carl Frampton is going to do a lot of moving. And Scott Quigg has got to come out there, Madonna style, and he's got to really cut off the ring and throw a lot of punches and throw them everywhere. I'm not saying fight a dirty fight. I'm just saying do not allow Carl Frampton to get comfortable in moving around the ring, because that's what a lot of people are expecting Carl Frampton to do, is to do a lot of moving. But even if, Carl Frampton or Scott Quigg win, whoever wins, I'm thinking that they have to fight Rigondeaux next. You have to, if you're going to be the best and stay at 122 pounds, fight Guillermo Rigondeaux. Now, the WBA has already ordered that the winner must fight Rigondeaux in order to keep the WBA belt, because the WBA is not going to have two champions at 122 pounds anymore, or any division, by 2017. So therefore, Scott Quigg is the only WBA champion right now. And Guillermo Rigondeaux was basically stripped of his WBA Super World title and was called a champion in recess. So what the WBA did is say, okay, well, since we don't normally sanction unifications between our secondary WBA world title, then what we're going to do is we're going to strip Rigondeaux. That's what a lot of people are saying. Get rid of his belt and make you to a unification, and then the winner has to fight Rigondeaux. But the question is, will either side use the excuse of, well, Rigondeaux doesn't bring in any money? Because Rigondeaux is now signed to Rock Nation, and I'm pretty much sure if it went down to a purse bid, Scott Quigg or Carl Frampton, if it came to that point, would make good money fighting Guillermo Rigondeaux with the backing of Rock Nation, even though whoever it would be, it probably would be a boring fight, or, it probably would be slow paced and not very, well, put it this way, if the fight happens over in the UK, I think it would do very good on the ratings if it's Scott Quigg or Carl Frampton, because Guillermo Rigondeaux was fighting Jazza Dickens in a couple of weeks over there, and he's getting a lot of support for fighting him over in the UK. So I'm thinking if Rigondeaux versus Quigg or Rigondeaux versus Frampton happens in the UK, I'm thinking they can sell out a nice sized, venue. I'm not quite sure, fully on how the UK feels about Rigondeaux, but from what I'm seeing, they're really supportive of him as far as the accolades that he brings to the sport of boxing. I'm going to be covering Frampton versus Quigg. It's going to be shown here in the States on Showtime Extreme. It's a midday card, and then it's going to be replayed later on that night in the US before Leo Santa Cruz takes on Kinko Martinez. When it comes to Kinko Martinez, Carl Frampton beat him twice. Scott Quigg looked very good beating him, and I'm just wondering Can Scott Quigg, you know, I'm trying to figure out, can Scott Quigg stop or knock out Carl Frampton? And I'm thinking yes, and also Carl Frampton has had some issues with gassing out or slowing down in the later rounds. It all depends on how good Scott Quigg looks, you know, going into the later rounds. I don't know. For some reason, man, I'm thinking Scott Quigg might pull it off. But we'll have to see tomorrow. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.